So I'm going to record this so I can post it on Blackboard later. I'm not Blackboard, YouTube. And so for the heparin protocol, what I've done is on this is I've highlighted the important parts. I've crossed out the things that you can ignore when doing the heparin protocol, and then I'll show you how to set this up and solve it. So when you take your test, one of the things you're going to see is this big long thing, and then you're going to see where it says answer the following questions. Ultimately, you're using the big long steps 1 through 15 of the heparin protocol to answer these questions, parts A, B, and C has 2 parts in and of itself. The parts, when you take your test next week, it's going to be 1 question, but it's going to have 2 parts. It's going to be calculating a bolus and then calculating an infusion rate. So it'll either be A and B, or it'll be this C part 1, C part 2. That's how the question will be worded. If you miss both parts, you've only missed 1 question. If you miss one of the 2 parts, you still have only missed 1 question. But I'm going to show you how to do this so you don't miss any of the questions. Okay. So step 1 is just kind of looking at this and what in the world are we looking at here. So the first thing is we have the patient's weight in pounds. So and we need to
convert it into kg.
Right. We need to convert the patient's weight in pounds to kilograms. So that's step 1. After that, then we just follow the protocol. The protocol says that it says it twice. It says to bolus the patient with heparin 80 units per kilogram body weight, and then to start a drip at 18 units per kilogram body weight or kilogram per hour. And then it repeats that in step 10 of the protocol. Secondly, I'm going to also need to convert units to milliliters, and we're going to do that by looking at what we have available. So in step 2 of the protocol, it tells you have a IV bag, heparin 25,000 units, 250 milliliters, half normal saline, and then you have a bolus dose of 1,000 units per milliliter. Those are your availables. And then, like I said, these other things, steps 3 through 9, we can just ignore and cross out. So when setting this up, first thing you want to do is you want to account for the patient's weight. So the patient weighs 110 pounds. We want to divide by 2.2 to get to 50 kilograms. That's the easy part. All right, so part A says, what is the bolus in milliliters? So in order to calculate that, what I have to do is I have to take the patient's weight, which is still 50 kilograms. Then you're gonna multiply by what it tells you to do the bolus. So it says to start a bolus at 80 units per kilogram. That'll give you 4,000 units.
Okay.
The next thing is we need to convert the units to milliliters. And that's where we look at step 2 of the protocol, where it tells us the 1,000 units per milliliter. So I'm just going to pull that back up. So right here where it says 1,000 units per milliliter is the bolus dosage strength. That's where I'm getting that information from.
Okay, so 1,000 unit comes from there.
You got it. So I can either divide by 1,000, multiply by 1. I usually show it dimensional analysis wise. Some people hate that, but that's what I do. And I
think it's more easier.
Okay, so you like the dimensional analysis? Okay, good. Then
so it crosses out everything, you know.
Well, that's exactly why I do it. So we can at least show you that we're eliminating things before we get to our final answer. So at least you know you set it up right. part B, with calculating the infusion rate, we're going to take the patient's weight, same patient, same weight, but this time we're going to multiply by the 18 units kilogram hour. We're going to get 900 units per hour. And then this is why I was asking about questions 22 and 23. They go from units per hour to milliliters per hour. Again, I'm going to use the information from the protocol where it says heparin 25,000 units in 250 milliliters half normal saline. That's my available for my infusion.
So you have that, and so you set it up according to that.
Got it. Then if you ever get stuck, if you use dimensional analysis, like you said you do, you know how to set it up without looking at the numbers first. And then, okay, well, what do I get these from? You don't want to use the bolus dose because that's only for bolus doses. You want to use the IV.
So that will be 25,000 units that goes down, right? And then 250 goes up.
Well, on your test, this is probably what you'll see. You'll probably see something like, you know, it'll give you a different weight. So, you know, that's what will change is the patient's weight will be different. You'll find out the patient's weight in kilograms. If you need to convert and there's decimals, make sure you round that to the nearest 10th. Then whatever that is in kilograms, multiply by 80, divide by 1,000. And then that will be your answer in milliliters for the bolus dose. And then if it's a decimal answer, just make sure you round to the nearest 10th.
Okay. So let's say that I have 4.55, then that will be 4.6.
You got it.
Okay.
Now for parts C1 and C2, we have to reference the protocol again. So it tells us after 6 hours, the APTT is 43 seconds. So what we're going to do is, because that APTT could be any number, and so we have to look at steps 11 through 15 to disseminate what are we going to do. And so I would say for the most part, you're probably going to see something in this 36 to 44 second range, because it has you do two different things, a rebolus with 40 and increase the rate. You might see something like, you know, it might be 30 seconds, and then you would just need to know to rebolus with 80 and then increase by 4. And I'll explain what all that is in just a moment. But so then it tells you to calculate the number of milliliters to prepare. That's for the new bolus or the rebolus, and then to calculate the new infusion rate. So for the rebolus, we're going to, instead of using the 80 units per kilogram body weight, now we're going to use 40 units, which is exactly half. And so hopefully, and that should also be half of the milliliters that we gave, but we'll verify that. The other thing is, when we talk about the infusion rate, remember the initial was 18 units per kilogram per hour. Now we're going to increase it by 2 units per kilogram per hour. So my new variable is going to be, instead of 18 units per kilogram per hour, it's going to be 20 units per kilogram per hour.
So like after, so the 18 was the start rep, and when you are increasing it by 2 units, then it will be 20. That's how it came, correct?
You got it. Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Let's start with the rebolus. Patient's weight is the same, 50 kilograms.
Mhm.
But now we're going to multiply by 40 units per kilogram. I'm going to get 2,000 units. And then I'm going to convert units to milliliters using, again, the same bolus dosage strength. Which remember we got from the protocol. So for bolus, I'm using the 1,000 units per milliliter. For flow rate, I'm using the 25,000 units per 250 ml.
Okay. So that'll be
And when
2
I
milliliters.
do that calculation, I get 2 milliliters. So half of 80 is also what we're going to see with half of 4. So that works out nicely. For C part 2, this is what I was getting at, was that initially it was at 18 units per kilogram per hour, but now we're increasing it by 2. So this is where the 20 units per kilogram per hour comes into play. The 50 times 20 is 1,000 units per hour. And again, we don't want units per hour, we want milliliters per hour. So I'm going to use my 25,000 units per 250 ml. We're going to get 10 milliliters per hour.
Mhm. So just one more question.
Yeah.
Because we chose the Rebos with 40 units per kg and increased rate by 2 units per kg per hour, because our question said the patient has an APTT of 43 seconds, correct? If the
That-
APTT was less than 35 seconds, then we would have chose the first one, which was the units per, like 80 units, and the rate would have increased by 4 units, correct?
That is correct. So for like, if you had like 30 seconds was your APTT, then 18 plus 4 would be 22 units per kilogram per hour.
Mhm. So it all dependent on the APTT. So this whole thing, the 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, it all is for just to figure out number C.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, because this question is kind of like, it's big, but it's not big. It's just like giving us so much stuff in one question, you know.
Exactly right. And it's also, you haven't seen it before, you haven't looked at it before, but they want you to know how to do it. And now hopefully you do.
Yes, now I am pretty sure I can do this one.
Good.
I don't think I have any other questions.
And then I just I post these on my I have a YouTube channel that I post these on for you guys. If you need to if you go through some of the other review sessions, sometimes I'll choose like a different weight, but you could see it's set up exactly the same way. As long as you got the setup, it's the same way. But sometimes it's helpful to see you know, just another example, like what would it be for someone, like I did one earlier, and I'll just show you this real quick, for a patient that's 184 pounds.
Okay.
So you can see what it looks like, since I already did it.
Okay.
But for this one, the patient is 184 pounds, divide by 2.2, and I rounded and got 83.6. So this is to the nearest 10th.
Mhm.
Then I just did the exact same thing we just went over. And then we get, notice that we get 6.688 milliliters, and I rounded that to the nearest 10th.
Mhm.
For this one, I got 15.048 milliliters, And again, I rounded that to nearest 10th. I wouldn't round that to 0.1 because 4 is less than 5. So I just left it at 15 milliliters per hour.
Mhm.
Then we did the half bolus, got the 3.3, and then 16.7 for when we increased it by 2 units. But I still followed the same exact procedure or protocol.
Okay. So for this one, like number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is of no use. Like it's just following the protocol, but it's not of any use, correct?
Say that one more time.
I was just saying that like this thing whole the like the protocol, it says about like CBC initially and repeat every that all depends what the doctor has written.
Okay. Right. And then as far as like from a math standpoint, we're not doing anything with that information.
Okay.
That's why I like, if you're looking at my screen, you can see I crossed it out. And that's because it doesn't have anything to do with the math component of what you're being tested on. In a clinical setting, these things are important and you're going to need to know what they are. But from a math standpoint, you don't need to worry about filling those in.
Okay.
You just need to be able to answer these questions down here.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good luck on your test.
Thank you so much.
No, 240 will start at 6:15. But if you have a question, because this one seems to have run its course, I can answer your question for 240 if you want.